Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And to the witnesses, I want to join the chairman in thanking you. You have an important job in helping everyone come together on this issue and do what's right for the American people and for national security. It's important for this committee and the American people to fully understand how Russia's war in Ukraine affects American security. This is different from simply making the case for supporting Ukraine as it fights for freedom. This is a balancing matter that all of us who work in national security must work towards. We are not, and we cannot be the policemen of the world. On the other hand, it is also important that we always keep an eye on what's happening in other countries, particularly with countries friendly to us and ones who enter into defense agreements with us. It is incredibly important. We all know there's a number of wars going on in the world. We are not participating in the vast majority of them, but we do have to participate when our national security demands it. I hope our witnesses can be crystal clear with us about the realities on the ground in Ukraine and what a Russian victory would mean for America's national security and economic prosperity. I hope you'll talk about our defense agreements and the importance of those defense agreements and the alliances that we make and how those alliances affect our national security and how our reputation affects how those defense agreements are carried out. There's global competition for power and influence. Russia, Iran, and China are all trying to weaken the United States and are intent on dominating regions that are vital to our interests, Europe, Middle East, and Asia. In that vein, I hope you as witnesses can lay out Russia's linkages with Hamas and Hezbollah and the deepening ties among Russia, Iran, and China. It is more and more evident that our enemies are working together against the United States and our allies. They have the same basic goal: to undermine American leadership and eliminate the basic freedoms that have helped the entire world prosper. The attacks against Israel have highlighted the connection between these actors. The Biden administration has refused to enforce sanctions against Iran, which has allowed more than $80 billion to flow from China to Iran. This money Iran has used not to help its people, but to finance weapons given to Hamas and to Russia. Russia has helped Iran improve its drones and missiles. The very weapons used against Israelis and Russia's proxy Wagner has offered to equip Hamas. We cannot help Israel without confronting these realities. Sadly, the administration thought it could embrace Iran, fail to enforce Iran oil sanctions, and unfreeze funds with no impacts on our efforts in Ukraine and in Russia. No wonder Iran felt free to send weapons to Russian warehouses. Chinese purchases of Iran oil and Russian gas help both countries to circumvent international sanctions. And increasingly, we are seeing growing alignment between these actors in multilateral meetings as they present themselves as a credible alternative to the West. The administration should connect these dots and synchronize strategies, but such connections have been really lacking in recent years. I've been asking the administration for some time now to clearly articulate, with details, its goals in supporting Ukraine. The American people deserve this clarity, and yet we haven't heard it. We need details and reasons, and I hope you'll provide that today. I hope to hear a frank assessment of success and failures on both the Russian and Ukrainian sides and a layout of the military capacities and the needs of both sides. You need to paint a clear picture of how and what Ukraine needs to win this war, and explain the President's requested supplemental package, how it's designed to address those needs and help them achieve their goal. I have been very satisfied with the quality and the level of oversight that we, the U.S. government, has had over our aid to Ukraine. I am, however, very much unhappy with the way that has been not produced to the American people, and I would hope you'll talk a little bit about that. Members of this committee held a meeting with the inspector generals who laid out for us what they have done from the beginning, and that their efforts are incredibly well done. Corruption with U.S. dollars will not be tolerated, and I'm glad to see detailed information that gives me confidence that our money is being used appropriately. The IG's provided that information. Technology and new approaches to oversight have also allowed the U.S. military to maintain unprecedented levels of accountability over our weapons. The inspectors general from state, USAID, and the Defense Department have been very open with this committee about their investigations, and we should all thank them for their work. The United States faces grave risks, and the world is going to become more dangerous. We are seeing multiple independent threats to U.S. national security converging. In the case of Russia and Ukraine, I fear the administration has no plan, and if there is one, it's long past time that we heard it. I sincerely hope you will fully address these concerns in your discussions today. With that, Mr. Chairman, back to you. Well, I'm tempted, but instead I'm going to focus on a narrow lane here, but a really important lane with you, Mr. Pyatt, and that is an issue that is incredibly important, but on which most of our Congress is not informed, and I'm going to hope you can help us get through that. And I want to talk about the nuclear reactors we have in the United States, which are, what, 95, give or take a few. Would you tell the committee, please, where does the fuel come from to operate these nuclear facilities?
So, Ranking Member, about 20% of the fuel that operates our nuclear fleet here in the United States still comes from Russia. The President has included in his latest supplemental a request for about $2.2 billion to help rebuild the nuclear enrichment capacity that we need here in the United States to end that dependency. And the administration has also stated its support for a ban on the import of Russian nuclear fuel.
I was hoping that would be your answer. I'm sitting not only on this committee, but also Intelligence and Energy, and this issue comes to a confluence in all three of those committees. Senators Barrasso and Manchin and I introduced the Nuclear Fuel Security Act. Are you familiar with that?
I am, Ranking Member.
Okay. I think that will go a long way to doing something here. We're also working on the ban, as you indicated. Obviously, we can't have that ban, but it's stunning to me that we're sending money to Russia to buy nuclear fuel when we've got bans in all kinds of other places. But we have to because of the dependence we have there. This is part of the problem we've got with the supply chain around the world, and that is we have not paid attention to it, and we really need to, particularly in this very, very critical area. In any event, what are your thoughts on, we've got to get this industry up and going. Obviously, it's moved offshore. We need to get it going. Give me your thoughts on that. How quickly can we do it? How much is it going to cost? What can we as the government do to move this along? Could you talk about that, please?
Thank you, Ranking Member. I could talk all day about this. I'll try not to.
Please don't.
Let me first note the importance of Ukraine, a country that operates one of the largest nuclear fleets in all of Europe, one of the few countries in Europe that has the industrial supply chain to contribute to a future non-Russian nuclear industry. When I was ambassador in Kyiv, I worked directly with President Poroshenko and with Westinghouse to enable the Ukrainians to refuel their reactors with non-Russian fuel assemblies. It was incredibly controversial. I remember one time Foreign Minister Lavrov called Secretary Kerry in the middle of my night to complain that we were going to cause another Chernobyl by putting Westinghouse fuel into these wonderful Russian reactors. That, of course, was a lie. And since then, Ukraine has steadily incorporated Westinghouse fuel assemblies into its nuclear fleet. As we look to the future across Central and Eastern Europe, civil nuclear power is going to be a key part of those countries' non-Russian energy mix. And I would also flag, Ranking Member, the critically important role of the work that's being done here in the United States on a next generation of nuclear reactors, small modular reactors. I've been following closely the challenges in your home state and the work with NuScale, and I hope very much that we can find a way forward in that regard as well, because we have to maintain American leadership in this area, and Ukraine is going to be one of our principal partners because it has the workforce, because it has the industrial capacity, because it has the nuclear knowledge in helping to bring clean nuclear power to countries in Europe like Poland that have made that choice but do not currently have the human capital or industrial base to fulfill that requirement.
Well, thank you. And I hope we can all join together to move this important issue forward, because this is something we can and should lead on. You made reference to the SMR and the NuScale problem. That's obviously been very disappointing to us. But the SMR is going to change the world. And obviously, Russia, China, and France, for that matter, have all jumped on board on this and are looking at ways to exploit their standing on the issue. We shouldn't let that happen. We should be the leaders on this, and I hope we will be. You'll be happy to hear we've had a number of discussions as to how we can do that at the Idaho National Lab, which is, of course, the flagship laboratory in the United States on nuclear energy. And I promise you we're going to continue to do that. Thank you for your attention to this issue. It's an absolutely critical issue. It's incredibly ironic to me that we're sending money to Russia to purchase fuel when we've got all these other things going on, and they're using it to fight against us in Ukraine. So we need to stop it, and the sooner we do it, the better. Thank you for your work. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.